Well, it is December, which means that it is time to start switching gears.
From bitter cold to blizzards, winter can be a tough time of year here in Northwest Indiana.
Today we are going to talk about winter weather with some notable storms being the main focus.
Welcome to this chilly episode of the Cold Front. I'm Adam Sherwinski.
And I'm Jacob Van Horn.
Today we talk about winter weather. And before we start, let's talk about today. It's actually snowing outside, first and foremost. I drove over here and not a big fan of the driving in the winter weather.
Yeah, I drove over here as well. It was a little bit sketchy. I was more nervous about other people just because it is the first snowfall of the year. And so sometimes it takes a little while for people to kind of get back into the swing of things and how to properly drive in the winter weather.
I mean, everyone forgets how to drive when it rains, and everyone definitely forgets how to drive when it starts snowing again.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I woke up this morning, the first thought I had was, it begins.
Yeah.
Winter is here.
And it's not even a dry snow either, where it's easy to drive through. It's more of a wet snow where it's extremely slick out right now.
I walked outside and I was running to go grab a tie before the show started, and I walked out there and I'm like, I'm gonna slip, I'm gonna slip, I'm gonna slip, I'm gonna slip. It's not gonna be fun. A winter weather advisory actually is out for the Chicagoland area, our viewing area as well, Lake and Porter County, Indiana, and also the rest of Chicagoland in that area. So the National Weather Service has issued a winter weather advisory. Clearly why. I mean, you can see it's snowing outside. But overall, I mean, yep, flakes are flying right now. But there's much worse events that could have happened. Jake, do you have anything first and foremost? Any events you can think of off the top of your head besides me?
Well, I mean, we kind of have a bit of a list here that we're going to work our way through. We have the historic 2013-2014 winter, which was not as well as the snow, really. I guess the other big story was the cold temperatures. And that was the, correct me if I'm wrong, but the winter polar vortex,
polar vortex era
winter, which, I mean, isn't really a thing, but that's what everyone will remember that winter as.
I mean, I remember freshman year, that was my first year here at Valpo, and I've lived in the region my whole life, but it's just funny because that was the first time I used to love winter because snow, yay, Christmas, and then after that winter I was like, I'm done with snow, can't do this anymore, and it's gotten better, but that was just an awful winter. I remember even up until May we were just like, oh, is there any snow in the forecast? Let's find out, and it's like, oh my gosh, like.
And to kind of put it into perspective, really, of how cold it was, for both Indiana and Illinois, it was the 9th coldest winter on record. So your average temperature every day, it was fairly chilly for the entire month, really, to kind of get into that ballpark record.
I mean, we had days off from school before coming back from winter break. I remember I had to drive through one of the worst days getting back from Maryville to Valpo, and what usually takes a half hour drive, not a big drive from Maryville to Valpo. It took me about an hour to do. And I had a Ford F-250 truck going through, plowing through, and my dad dropped me off, said, okay, we'll never ever do this again, which we haven't, and he drove away, and he got caught by state troopers, and they told him, why are you on the highway? All the highways are closed. He was so scared. He called me right afterwards. He's like, never again. He was terrified. So lesson learned, if the highways are closed, do not go out there. It's safety tip number 1 for us. We got more coming up later in the show, but back to severe winter weather, like we had, what was it? Do you remember Nemo, Winter Storm Nemo, that they talked about, that nor'easter that everyone made a big fuss about, which was actually a pretty interesting snowstorm. It wasn't around here that they had it. It started out in the plains and then went here to the northeast, and man, looking at it, is definitely a blizzard. Lots of snow, 40 inches at its maximum that 2013 winter, which again was a brutal winter, even just here.
Now, I'd like to switch gears kind of back towards Northwest Indiana, if you don't mind.
No problem.
And one of the big things about Northwest Indiana is the lake effect snow. So we have this very nice graphic, if we want to go to that, and that will actually help us kind of explain how lake effect snow forms. So Adam, if you don't mind.
Oh, Yeah, you've definitely got warm water. You've got warm water out at your lake and cool surface temperatures during the land. That contrast right there, that's what's going to be the big player. Plus, a fetch of 80 miles is usually pretty good for those winter effects. So you got cold air going over the lake, and that's what's going to produce, that over that warm water, that's what's going to produce your snow. Look at that right there, the animation. You can see it just gets pounded by all that snowfall, and all just because of the lake. And it's interesting because that's Northwest Indiana's thing. We are known for lake effect around here, especially in Porter County here in Valparaiso. I mean, but places like Lake Erie get them out towards Cleveland. Cleveland gets them a lot, and so does up in Marquette area up in Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, the Great Lakes is fairly well known for its lake effect snow, really. Places like Buffalo, New York, you always hear about. They always pick up a bunch of snow, and most of that is in fact due to the lakes. Just a little bit warmer than the ground, really, and you just kind of get that lift from the warm air over the water, and all of a sudden you get heavy snow showers, and they band up.
Buffalo's been one of the ones that's been like every other year. It just seems like it gets the worst of that lake effect. But we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to continue talking about our winter weather.
Plus, later on, we'll tell you what you can do to be ready when blizzards come to town.
You're watching The Cold Front on VUTV, Channel 15.
Good morning, Valparaiso University. What's a better way to start your day than with a new jam? And WVUR has just what you need.
But if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like nothing changed at all? And if you close your eyes, does it... If Daniel won't change your mind, baby, right.
Broadcasting sports, news, weather, and music on air, online, and on campus. WVUR is my jam.
Welcome back to the Cold Front.
Now we're going to continue our discussion on extreme winter weather. And I know last year, Valpo kind of took a few steps that they normally don't. We had a bit of a snowstorm right before spring break, prompted some blizzard warnings. And not only did we get 1 day off of classes, we actually got 2.
There's some footage right there from Will White, one of our meteorology students here, and look at all of that. I feel bad for the guys that had to work out there, the facilities management people. They had to work and keep plowing just so students could walk to the Union to get some food because everything else in town was pretty much closed. It was really cold. I remember playing out there with them. Yeah, I was out there with them. That's not me, but out there playing, and we built 2 giant snowmen, and it was the worst, best time I've ever had out in the snow because that cold was bitter and whew, all that wind. But look at that. Just him plowing through that is just intense. Whew. Oh, does it show the snowmen? Oh, let's see. Oh, there, the snowmen. Look at that. Yeah, look at all that snow. Oh, man, that was a cold day. What did you do during that event?
So during that blizzard, I actually stayed in my room and did a little bit of homework.
Smart.
Yeah, I was not planning on going outside. Now the big thing was the snowfall amounts. We picked up a lot of snow in a very short amount of time, roughly around a foot of snow here in Valpo. And so really the combination of the heavy snow as well as the very strong winds that we saw across the area is what really prompted the National Weather Service to issue that blizzard warning. And that was something that was very serious. They don't issue them quite as often as other like winter weather advisories or winter storm warnings for obvious reasons. Blizzards aren't near as common as just regular winter storms. But a very serious situation nonetheless last year.
Yeah, I remember I did some homework too, but I also took advantage of being in the snow. I remember I walked from the Warenberg Hall all the way to Chipotle, and halfway through the trip, I thought, this is the worst mistake I've ever made in my life. A burrito is not worth it. But yeah, going back to blizzards, blizzards aren't about how much snowfall you get so much as how much wind you get, because that was a really gusty system. I mean, it was like power outages almost were going crazy. I was afraid we were going to lose power from all the wind. Forget about the ice, just all the wind that we had. The snow, yeah, was a big factor in it too, but that wind was terrible. Walking back from Chipotle, there was a couple times I saw some vortices from just all that wind, made a few vortices, and man, I thought it was for a whole second a snow-nado, and then I remembered those don't exist.
And so, I mean, here we usually associate blizzards with heavy snow and the wind, but really it's whenever you get out into the central plains, when they already have the snow, you'll have some high winds, and so really the snowfall won't even be falling, it will already be on the ground, but those high winds will kick up the snow to the point where you can't see. It'll be whiteout conditions, and they'll have to issue a blizzard warning just for that.
The snow might not even be falling. You could still get whiteouts because of all that drifting and blowing snow. So yeah, that's another great point. I mean, we got the lake effect and we had the wind, but they had also just all of that. They get out there, all those plains and all those
Now, speaking of out west, several years ago, I went on a family trip out to South Dakota, and one of the things that we stopped for gas, and we actually asked a local about, because we don't see it here in Northwest Indiana or really across the Midwest really, is on the on-ramps and exit ramps, they have metal gates. And so we asked the guy, like, what are those for? It's kind of weird that you have those. And he said, during the winter months, whenever they have their blizzards or whiteout conditions, they'll actually shut down several sections of highway. So in that way, if people try to get on, they can't get on the highway, and then they aren't stranded, because they get some significant snowfall out there, and especially with the blowing and drifting winds, it's not uncommon for people to get stranded, and lots of times they're not prepared. But
yeah, and we're going to talk about winter preparedness here coming up after the break, but we still want to talk a little bit more about this, what's going on here. I mean, some cold weather, and I'm still thankful that today we just have a little bit of snowfall as compared to some of these systems just pile it on. I mean, in the National Weather Service, man, that's a lot of work, because we had a forecasting exercise in class the other day where we had to forecast for winter storms and whether to put an advisory out, a watch, a warning, or a blizzard warning, and that was probably one of the roughest forecasts. Even though it wasn't a real forecast, it was one of the roughest forecasts I had to help make. I mean, we put out a winter weather storm warning or watch, and it turned out to be a blizzard. So it was just like, whoo. We kind of miscalculated the winds, but our snowfall totals weren't actually that bad. So it was kind of this is a rough forecast. So snow forecasting is very hard. When we're going to take a quick break, another quick break here, but when we come back, we'll talk about winter weather safety.
Plus, I'll look at the forecast for the last week of classes.
You won't want to miss it.
Good morning, Valparaiso University. What's a better way to start your day than with a new jam? And WVUR has just what you need.
But if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like nothing changed at all? And if you close your eyes, does it...
If dying young won't change your mind, baby, right.
Broadcasting sports, news, weather, and music on air, online, and on campus. WVUR is my jam.
Thanks for staying tuned.
Now, many of you may be wondering how to stay safe during the winter months.
We're here to tell you what you can do to prepare yourself for the next storm.
And the first and foremost thing is layer up. I mean, it's going to get cold. If there's going to be a winter storm, it's going to get cold. So definitely put on not just a jacket and not just a t-shirt underneath the jacket like I used to do, because I can take the cold, but definitely put on a sweatshirt, t-shirt, a thermal underneath there, and then a heavy coat on top of that if it's going to be really cold. Gloves and hats are a must. I wear my hats all the time, even though it may not be a winter weather hat. I always wear it just to stay warm.
Now, I do know this actually from, I'm a hunter, so I know this from hunting experience. If you're going to do physical activity outside, it may be best to kind of limit the amount of layers. If you have too many layers on and you're too warm, you'll actually begin to sweat, which will actually make you even cooler than having very few layers on at all. So you're better off just enough to keep you warm, but not necessarily break out into a sweat.
Yeah, I mean, if you're shoveling snow, you might want to put maybe one or two, but if you're taking the dog for a walk out in the snow, definitely layers.
Layer up,
It depends
yeah.
on what you're doing.
It depends on your activity, but
Exactly.
yeah.
And speaking of hunting, boots are really important. I know that.
Yes, insulated boots I would highly recommend.
Yeah. Back to weather safety, though. I mean, don't forget also your pets, too. I mean, we have a graphic coming up here. They'll probably show it about cats and dogs. Look at that. Oh, so cute. Look at the kitty. Provide a safe, warm shelter for them. Make sure you can make some noise to get those cats out of there, because some animals like to sleep in your car, especially if you live in a really urbanized area. So make sure you make some noise, scare them away before they get out of your car, before turning it on to go to work. Check their paws, too. I know I have a dog at home, and I check his paws every time he comes in the house, not only for mud, but also to see how they're feeling. And then also recognize the size of troubles. If something's happening, if he or she, your dog or cat, can't really walk properly like they normally do, that's a sign you might need to take them back inside to warm up. I know, yeah. And then we have some large animals too, for people who have farm animals, cows, cows, llamas. I know there's a llama farm.
Horses, stuff like that.
Perfectly good, yeah.
And I mean, really, it's just the same as most of your other animals. You want to provide a shelter, some type of blanket, something to keep them warm, especially for horses. Provide dry bedding, so something that insulates them. Cows, one of the big things is their udders will get cold, and their legs, just because there's not much protecting those parts. Windbreaks also help to lessen the impact. Make sure they have plenty of food and water as well, and just keep an eye on them. Look for disease and injury. It's very easy to overlook in the winter months, especially severe cold injuries, especially in younger animals. They're more prone to it than some of the older ones.
I mean, calves compared to a full-grown cow,
yeah.
there's a big difference.
So
on how
just
they can
kind
together.
of keep an eye out. I guess it's a little tougher to do maybe if they're outside and covered in the snow. But just something you want to check your animals regularly
Also,
for.
if you're driving in your car, don't forget you want to pack some supplies as well. If you're going down to see Grandma and Grandpa for Christmas and if there's a winter storm going on, make sure you have a charger for your cell phone, because if that dies, you're in trouble. First aid kit, always just in general, keep that around. Jumper cables, another one, keep around just for general. A spare tire, because all that ice could mess you up on those tires. Flashlight in case it gets dark. Hats, mittens, boots, other extra warm clothes just in case something were to happen, there's an accident and you don't have a lot of help coming on the way. Just to stay warm, get a fresh pair of clothes. Blankets to keep you warm if you're going to be there for a while. Also, yeah, snow shovels and brushes to keep the snow off of the car. And keep some snacks in case you do happen to get stranded out there, which is probably one of the worst things. And also, make sure your gas tank is full, because it would stink to go to Grandma and Grandpa's and you run out of gas right before you get there.
And another thing that a lot of people don't really have in there, but I actually have in mine, is a high visibility vest in case you are changing that tire on the side of the highway. Just something to make you a little bit more visible, especially in the winter months with all the snow and just the white color in general.
Bright yellow, bright orange.
Yep.
That's a good way to keep it so people can see you while you're going down the road. Yeah, but also basically just keep what you've been doing for your travel safety and just add warmth to it. And that's all you got to do to keep it going to it.
And before your trip, just avoid driving until the roads are safe and passable in the case of a snowstorm. Make sure you winterize your vehicle. You have windshield fluid in there to de-ice your windshield.
Snow tires.
Snow tires for sure, just various stuff like that. And then don't be afraid to do a thorough pre-trip inspection of your vehicle, especially if you're traveling across the country to visit loved ones. You know, it might take a couple extra minutes, but it's definitely worth your time to kind of check your tire pressures and just stuff like that. Easy stuff that sometimes you overlook on your daily commute, but whenever you're traveling long distances to see family, maybe it's worth your time.
Also, keep in mind when you are out and about, when you're shoveling, make sure to take a break, because heart attacks do happen. All right, one last commercial break before we get to the forecast for the week.
Stay tuned.
Good morning, Valparaiso University. What's a better way to start your day than with a new jam? And WVUR has just what you need.
But if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like nothing changed at all? And if you close your eyes, does it
If dying young won't change your mind, baby, right.
Broadcasting sports, news, weather, and music on air, online, and on campus. WVUR is my jam.
And look at that, looking at I-65 out in Maryville. Look at all that snow. Yes, winter is here for you Game of Thrones fans. Look at that. We're right smack in the middle of all that winter weather. We got some up way out to the north and west. In between, though, clear skies, looking pretty nice here across northwest India. Down to our southeast, though, look at that. They have some showers and thunderstorms activity. Luckily, earlier they had some tornadoes earlier in the weekend, a while ago, but now just some rumbles of thunder here or there along the Gulf Coast. But back home, up towards us, we are getting pounded with the winter weather. Down towards central Indiana, look at that. You can see that they got the winter mix borderline right there from rain going into snow. So right there, that's where your fronts, and there's a boundary right there to make the difference between the two. Snowfall total coverage right here, you can see that if you look at it, there's a lot going to happen. Not as bad as we are out towards the west. You can see we got some more well past Chicago and deep into Chicagoland, out towards DeKalb, even west of DeKalb, towards Peru and those areas in middle of northwestern or northern Illinois. But us, yeah, about 3 to 6 inches, 3 to 6 inches, that rough area for snow cover. So what's going to happen for today? What's current conditions going on? Well, we have snow still falling here in Valparaiso, Indiana, 33 degrees with the east wind at 8 miles per hour. It is a chilly one out there for sure. 33 here in Valpo, temperatures across the board, 32 in Chicago, 32 out in Kankakee. Indy, down there where you're getting those rain showers, a little bit warmer for those guys down there. So your headlines for today, what are we expecting for the day? Well, snow, and some more snow. That'll eventually taper off and we'll have a sunny start to tomorrow, but it'll get cold again by midweek. We're talking about Wednesday into Wednesday at night. Almanac here, and what Almanac's going to show us is, look at that. Today's high temperature, 35 degrees, still snowing. Our average high is about 39, so we're a little bit below average, but not by much. And it's a record high, 64 degrees. I do miss those temperatures, and I wish we were back in that time period for that. Cold still going to stick around for future temperatures. We just have that across the board. A little bit of a warm up here or there, but not much to talk about. Thank goodness we don't have that Arctic air way out towards our west, towards Billings and Rapid City and Bismarck. Whew, that is quite cold out there. And still, just the cold temperatures continue here in central of this part of the country. So out to future radar, you can see cloudy conditions, some snow. That's out of here by later, and then by Monday, look at that. And even into Tuesday, early in the morning hours, clear skies. Look at that, another chance of another system coming in by midweek. So for tonight, 29 degrees with some snow. That'll taper off and skies will start to clear out. Tomorrow, 41 degrees. We might see some sunshine for the day as well. Looking at your 7-day forecast, look at that. Some snow and some sunshine and some cloudy skies all over the place. It's going to be a little bit of a wintry whirlwind. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at VUTV. We always keep up with the latest here at Valparaiso University Television. Also, those who want to get away for the weekend, look at that. Christmas towns. We've got, first and foremost, which one is that, Jake?
That's actually Cocoa, Florida. So these are some of the current temperatures if you're traveling across the country to some of these Christmas towns. Next up, we have Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, coming in at 46 degrees. Seeing a little bit of rain right now. We have the always popular Santa Claus, Indiana, 45 degrees and some rain. You saw that on radar just a moment ago, south and central Indiana, seeing that rain-snow mix. Next, we actually have Rudolph, Wisconsin, 30 degrees, and they're seeing snow right now. So if you're heading up there, you might get a little bit of the Christmas spirit going on. And as we head out to Snowflake, Arizona, they're ironically not seeing any snowflakes because it is 46 degrees and sunny right now. And to wrap up the show, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to our Santa tracker. That's right, NORAD is tracking Santa. Now, it is still early December, which means Santa is still at the North Pole. Him and the elves are kind of finishing up some of them toys. And so they're going to begin to make their way down around the world come December 24th and into the 25th.
Plenty of prep time, though, for St.
yeah.
Nick. Look at that. Just, he's right there.
It's really remarkable what he does. In a given year, he makes all these toys for all these kids.
All in one night.
And look, there he is, all the reindeer.
That's what he's going to be doing on the 24th and
Yeah.
the 25th.
It looks like he's taking a few practice test flights. So
Yes, it does. So, you ready for Christmas? I'm ready for Christmas. I know that.
I'm definitely ready for Christmas break. We'll put it that way.
That for sure.
We'll put it that way.
Yeah, the forecast for the middle of this week, too, last day of classes, cold and a little bit dreary, so.
That's okay.
Yeah, we can get through this week, though. We get to Christmas, the bright lights of Christmas, and the presents and the food and
Family.
some relaxed time.
Family and relaxing time. Yeah.
So that's really the big important thing. But yeah, just about wraps it up for the last cold front of the semester.
Yeah.
That's it for us. We'll be back off the air for the rest of the week into January. But you can still follow us on VUTV Weather. We're going to still post weather Facebook updates every single day, and the latest weather alerts also at VUTV Weather.
Also, stay up to date on the latest news here on campus and around the country by following VUTV on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Jake. Good luck on finals.
See you after the holidays, and have an awesome break, Valpo.